Now, let's talk about what makes an expert teacher. Saplala and Westergaard cite Taylor, who said that regardless of whether teaching happens face to face or at a distance, expert teaching requires three types of knowledge. First, content knowledge, knowing your subject matter. Second, pedagogical knowledge, knowing how to teach. And third, practical knowledge, understanding the social and political context of teaching and learning. However, in distance education, we have to add a fourth critical dimension: technology. That's where the TPAC framework comes in. The TPAC framework was developed by Kohler, Mishra, and Kane. TPAC stands for Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge. It builds on Schulman's original idea of pedagogical content knowledge but adds technology as an integral component. The framework says that effective teaching with technology requires integrating three knowledge domains. Content knowledge is what you know about the subject you teach. Pedagogical knowledge is what you know about the process of teaching and learning. Technology knowledge is what you know about technology tools and their uses. Real expertise happens at the intersection of all three. The real power of TPUC comes from the interactions between these three knowledge bases. First, PCK or pedagogical content knowledge is Schulman's original idea, knowing how to teach specific content. Second, TCK, technological content knowledge, is understanding how technology and content influence each other. For example, using simulations in science changes how students understand concepts. Third, TPK, technological pedagogical knowledge, is knowing how teaching and learning change when you use specific technologies like using blogs for reflective writing. Finally, TPAC itself is the emergent, flexible knowledge that allows teachers to make good decisions in real classroom contexts. It's more than the sum of the parts. So why is TPAC especially important for distance education? Kohler and colleagues point out that digital technologies are different from older tools like chalkboards. They are protean, usable in many ways. Unstable, they change rapidly, and opaque, their inner workings are hidden. This makes them challenging for teachers. TPAC helps instructors move beyond just adding technology on top of existing lessons. Instead, it helps them choose technologies that fit learning goals, adapt pedagogy to online environments, and recognize how content itself may be transformed by technology. There's no single best way to integrate technology. Solutions depend on the teacher's ability to flexibility, navigate the intersections of content, pedagogy, technology, and context. Now let's talk about the specific responsibilities of a distance instructor. Based on Smaldino and colleagues and Anderson's work, there are several key duties. First, course organization. You need a clear syllabus, a well structured schedule, and explicit expectations. Second, facilitating active learning. Move away from long lectures. Use case studies, debates, virtual field trips, and hands on activities. Third, providing timely feedback. Turnaround time directly affects student motivation, and your comments should be meaningful, not just grade. Fourth, promoting interaction both between teacher and student and among students themselves. If you don't design interaction, it doesn't or it often doesn't work and it doesn't happen. As Maldino says, distance cannot be an excuse for failure to communicate with students. Terry Anderson, building on the work of Garrison, Anderson, and Archer, identifies three critical components of teaching presence. First, design and organization. This includes designing the curriculum, learning activities, assessment frameworks, and negotiating timelines. Second, facilitating discourse. This means reading and responding to student contributions, building trust and safety, using icebreakers, and sometimes letting students moderate discussions. Third, direct instruction. This is where the teacher provides subject matter expertise, scaffolds learning, clarifies misconceptions, and offers intellectual leadership. All three components are essential for creating an effective online learning environment. Beyond those three roles, Smaldino and colleagues add several other responsibilities: managing technology, making sure students know how to use the course management system, discussion boards, and other tools. Always have a backup plan for when technology fails. You also need to address student issues, check in with the students who aren't participating, and accommodate special needs respectfully. Maintaining rigor is another responsibility. Distance courses must meet the same academic standards as face to face courses. Finally, be aware of legal and ethical issues, copyright laws like the Teach Act, plagiarism policies, and intellectual property rights. These are all part of being a responsible distance educator.